What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 84. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
I'm good. I am more than good considering the quality of football, the fun football we saw. World Cup semifinals are upon us. We made history in many cases, and the first thing I gotta ask, buddy, how you doing? You all right?
I'm coping. That's what
Yeah.
I gotta say. I'm coping with a defeat that Morocco showed up. Boufal, Onahi, Amrabat, Bono, all these players have showed up. So I'm coping, and with the fact that Fernand has to go, and I can inform everyone right now, Fernand is leaving Portugal. He's leaving Portugal national team. Okay, that's what I've been told by an insider. So that is my word on it. But yes, a lot of football that you mentioned and a lot of good games. And I gotta say, a game happened of France against England that France win 2-1, and that game is deserving to be like a final. A final. What a game by these two teams. England played their part, but they weren't good enough. And I just want to give a first highlight to Antoine Griezmann, okay? That needs to be talked more, with 2 assists in this game, and he became the all-time top assister in French history. This man, just like Sean Felix is disrespected at Atletico, Griezmann is much better of a player than he's showing at Atletico. But in France, he goes bold. So that's
I mean, come on, Antoine Griezmann. If you're gonna throw Griezmann out there, you got to throw Olivier Giroud out there. These are 2 guys that are probably maybe some of the most underrated players, at least internationally, as it stands. Simply because I don't know why, but there's a reason why Olivier Giroud is the all-time leading goal scorer now in French national team history, and there's a reason why Antoine Griezmann is now the all-time assist provider in French national team history. And come on, it really has been impressive. The delivery from Griezmann, the shifting of roles, the ability for whatever Didier Deschamps asks Griezmann, the focus that was put on Mbappe allowed Griezmann the space to do what he needs to do, to link up with Giroud. And it really is impressive what he has done for the French in this tournament, considering how much that their best 11 has been degraded. And there's a reason why France is literally the only team left that has gone 5 for 5 in terms of statistics in leading in XG. In expected goals. They have won every one of their games, statistically speaking, in terms of expected goals, 5 for 5. Whereas every one of these other teams have been kind of less than that, right?
I agree.
Wait, hold on. Is it France or is it Argentina that's done that? I can't.
But
I think I have that statistic wrong, so don't quote me on that. But anyway, yes. Griezmann, you're right, and it all started though with Aurelien Tchouameni's ballsy effort from outside the box. I know Pickford was a little bit kind of, stuck behind the defenders, couldn't necessarily see it, but my goodness, for him to have that clout, for him to have that ability to take that shot in a World Cup quarterfinal, it just tells you how much that next man up mentality in France is really taking hold.
It's a fuck. I gotta first go with Giroud, man. 100% Bretson. He's one of the most underrated number 9s in the history of football. That is fucked. And this man is so underrated that he left Chelsea for 2 million. Okay, to AC Milan. And Chelsea replaced him with an 100 million striker, Lukaku. And now we can all see who's better. Who's better? And what a bad decision that was. Okay, I gotta first say. And Tchouameni with an absolute rocket, showing why he's a Galactico and why we don't even notice the no Pogba and no Kante in this team. He is the future, and Mbappe and Tchouameni are 2 players that France have, and Theo Hernandez, 3 actually, that will be considered the best players in their position. Okay, definitely in the debate. So France is very safe in the future. Long term.
They are, and France has not played great football. This is not the 2018 World Cup winning squad.
Different.
right? And
Different. But
very different.
I
Very
prefer
different.
them. I prefer them. I like this team.
You do? Okay.
Because of how young Tchouaméni and Mbappe. Like Tchouaméni's
Sure.
22, Mbappe is 23, and we definitely know now that France in the next 12 years will be competing to get another World Cup. And if France wins this, Mbappe will have back-to-back World Cups. He's one World Cup to catching Pele. And if that happens, man, like the GOAT debate just becomes a lot more complicated. A lot more, man, with the amount of goals Mbappe has. Jeez.
I mean, he's 23. It's absolutely unbelievable. Come on. In 2018, Kylian Mbappe was not necessarily seen as the engine that led them, but he still scored 4 goals. Do you know how many goals Olivier Giroud had for France in 2018?
That's a good question. Like 30?
I believe. No. In 2018, in their run to the World Cup final.
I'm sorry. Tell me.
Zero.
Improving.
Do you know how many goals? You know how many goals he's got right now at 36 years old in this World Cup? He's got 4. He's literally in the Golden Boot running behind Kylian Mbappe. Olivier Giroud, it just and then to discount, like, you can't discount what he did for AC Milan in their run to the Scudetto. I mean, this guy just knows how to get it done. He also had the audacity to attempt another scorpion kick, this time in the World Cup quarterfinal. I mean, Olivier Giroud is a man that not only is he intensely good looking, but he's a guy that knows how to get it done on the pitch when he's most needed. And it really is going to come down to that. Like, Karim Benzema would have been here. Olivier Giroud would have gotten his chances, but there's no way he would have been scoring 4 goals for France if he did not start from the get-go in every one of his starts.
True.
Okay?
True.
So in the end, anyone that says, yes, Thierry Henry on his best footballing day was more of an electric footballer than Olivier Giroud will ever be. Okay? But when it comes down to it, Olivier Giroud has scored goals that are more important for France than Thierry Henry ever has.
And Mbappe's learning.
Mbappe's learning. But we can't discount another gentleman, another longtime veteran in this younger labelist side. We have to say Hugo Lloris. He became the most capped French player on the day. He's also had, I believe it's 119 of his 143 all-time caps for Les Bleus have been as him with the captain's armband. Okay, so this guy's kind of presence for the French national team is also insanely immense for the longevity and the ability to be as good as they have been since that 2018 World Cup. And there's a reason why France all time, I think they just made their 7th World Cup semifinal. That is more, believe it or not, it shocked me, that is more than Argentina's 5 World Cup semifinals. That is more. So this, like, I agree with you. There's a conveyor belt now that there is this feeling that France is going to be good for a long, long period of time because of what has happened in this World Cup now. What has happened in this World Cup?
And if it's amazing. If Deschamps leaves this French national team, like, who coaches straight away? It's Zidane. So that just assures the quality of football that France will have the next 8 to 12 years. These next 3 World Cups coming. Mbappe, Tchouaméni, Theo, Mike Maignan, Konaté, Saliba, Dembele will still be young. So much youth.
Yeah.
And in this World Cup, the 4 possible outcomes of the World Cup, all of them are bold. If Morocco wins the World Cup, they're the first African team to do it. If Croatia wins it, it's the first time that Croatia, with Luka Modric icon, wins it. If Argentina wins, Messi wins the World Cup. And if France wins the World Cup, it's a back-to-back win of the World Cup. And it's never happened in the history. So that is shocking. I believe Brazil.
I believe Brazil did it.
Oh, so Brazil.
Yeah. But that was a long time ago. And that was... with as many quality national team sides as we have these days, I would argue it's a whole lot harder now to do back-to-back than it would have been back in Pele's days. But listen, when all is said and done, with this France-England game, England, in my opinion, played well. England, in my opinion, played well. Bukayo Saka was fun to watch.
Wrong substitution. Wrong substitution.
What was that?
Wrong.
Definitely.
They did
I agree.
Play well, but wrong substitutions. Yeah. So this is what I gotta say. Do you think Southgate should stay for England as England manager?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this. I don't see. I remember the days of Sven-Goran Eriksson leading the way for the English national team. I mean, that was I believe that was a Swede, right? He was a Swede running the show. Yes. That didn't end well. That didn't end well for England. I think if you're going to have an English manager doing it, and I've seen the Thomas Tuchel, rumors and some other things that are floating around. I think you have to look at Gareth Southgate's CV so far. And Gareth Southgate has brought them to a World Cup semifinal in 2018. He's brought them to a Euro final that unfortunately penalties, knocked him out. And when all is said and done, I think they might not have outplayed France, but they certainly went blow for blow with France and had their chances to get to another World Cup semifinals. And they were definitely good enough to get to a World Cup semifinals. And he's brought on a lot of really good young players, and the future is incredibly bright. I think Gareth Southgate has to stay English manager. Oh. There you go.
Look, this is what I gotta say as an answer for that. Has Southgate done a good job until now as England manager? Yes. Has England played at their full potential? No. Yeah. Does England have an extremely good amount of quality attacking players? Yes. So the way I see it is, if Thomas Tuchel is appointed as England manager, it would be better for England long term, in my opinion. Southgate has done a good job until now, uniting the group, but now is the clutch time. Do I see England winning a World Cup with Southgate? I never do. I never do. I can put this clip out there because I really can't see it happening. And the substitutions. Why would you put out Saka, okay? And why would Rashford be put on so late in the game? And Grealish too. The substitutions made no sense in my opinion. And players like Foden, Jude Bellingham, Saka, I have here Reece James, Mount, they would all be better with Thomas Tuchel instead of Southgate, in my opinion.
Listen,
even Poch, man. Even Poch.
The international, but the international managerial kind of whatever it's a whole lot different than running a club. It is a whole lot different than running a club. And listen, I'm with you. Gareth Southgate definitely is learning. He's learning on the job. But I do believe whether it's not exponential in terms of retention of learning from his mistakes, he is incrementally learning from his mistakes, and he has made some big mistakes. He has definitely made some big mistakes, as most international managers do at some point. I mean, just look at the bevy of international managerial talent that is now a free agent.
Exactly.
Right? We have seen a lot. So I agree. The issue herein lies, first off, watching a German run an English national team, that's going to be weird in and of itself. And I don't want to get into like nationalism, and I don't want to get into, how interesting like that dichotomy will be. But ultimately, like, I don't know if you're gonna promote somebody that is English to be the English national team coach. I don't know who you do it. I don't know who does it, who knows the players better than Gareth Southgate does. And frankly, I do think scoring a goal in the run of play would have solved all their issues. I have to ask you, just flat out, because I got to get this out of the way. How do you feel about Harry Kane taking the second penalty against a teammate of almost a decade? Against the teammate of almost a decade, who is not known as like Mr. Penalty Shot Stopper, Hugo Lloris. He scores the first one pretty comfortably. It was very apparent to me that when he was running up to take that penalty, that he something went off in his head that was like, oh, I got to switch. And like from a technical perspective, lean back and boom, that turned into a field goal, 3 points. I'm watching American football, right?
I get you. I get you. I get where you're coming from. Kane But Kane was the captain, and Kane is the
course.
captain of England. So I think the second pen would still be, I would still give it to Kane. But I do understand technically, like, it wasn't the best decision maybe. But you'd put maybe Saka, that would be another pen. That would be another pen. Yeah. And if Saka missed, then people would be on top of Saka. Like, right now, the whole of Brazil is saying, why did Rodrigo do the first pen of Brazil? Everybody is pointing fingers on why did Rodrigo do that. So I would have still put Kane doing the second pen. And England need to, like, just like us, one step back to go 2 steps forward. And just like us, I think Southgate needs to go, and Portugal 100%, man. Southgate needs, and I say it. Fernando Santos has to go 100%. I feel like both don't play quality attacking football in the build-up play like the players they have that they deserve.
I'm with you. I hear you. I mean, but Fernando Santos, aside from that Gonzalo Ramos surprise against Switzerland that happened to work out for him before it all came crashing down, and Fernando Santos is 68 years old. Gareth Southgate is a young buck, young manager that is learning on the job that I think will actually learn maybe not as fast as most English fans would like. They've been waiting since 1966. But I do believe that he will continue to be the best candidate for the foreseeable future. So I am going to say I firmly do actually hope that England holds on to Gareth Southgate because you don't know what the next person provides.
I understand.
You don't know what the next person provides. So I also agree with you that it was a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation for Harry Kane on that second penalty, because you're right. I don't know who you would have selected beyond that. All I know is that it was like the worst thing in the world, and yet the only thing that was likely going to happen was that Harry Kane was going to take that second penalty, and it was not going to be like the first, because it's like, I've already done this against a teammate who I've known for 9+ years, who literally studies my every move, and it was always going to be weird. And that's why when all was said and done, England needed that run of play goal that they had chances at. I mean, France gifted them chances multiple times. If there's one thing that France is not, it is not this insanely, ridiculously vice-like tight defensive unit yet. Upamecano made a weird challenge. Theo Hernandez, that was the dumbest defensive challenge I have ever seen against Mason Mount that had come on. And Theo has been virtually, I wouldn't say flawless, but he's been phenomenal for France this whole game. And it almost went up in smoke because of that play. And on top of that, Aurelien Tchouameni scores that beautiful goal, has a wonderful game for the most part, and then hacks down Bukayo Saka that led to the first penalty. So France gifted England a bunch of chances, but ultimately those chances were squandered. 1, because they were penalties, and 2, they never got that run of play goal they needed. Never got it.
But tell us down below, people. Do you think Gareth Southgate should stay as England manager? Tell us your thoughts about the England game. And yes, your prediction with France-Morocco, that we are going to say ours at the end. But tell us down below yours. We want to know it. So we mentioned managers going, but another big disappointment after Morocco against Portugal. There was another big one with Croatia going bold once again in a penalty shootout and surprising the world by beating Brazil. Croatia showing that they have a very united group that knows how to play to their own strengths. Lovren and Gvardiol, what an amazing center-back duo. And now we understand why the Chelsea, United, City, and Real Madrid are all willing to spend 90 to 100 million reportedly for Gvardiol, which that is very bold, man. Very bold.
That is very bold. But I mean, this is a country of 4 million people. This is a country of 4 million people going up against Brazil, which has 200 million plus people. That is literally known for being a hotbed of just footballing brilliance, right? What they are doing as a unit, Croatia, obviously makes us all look silly as people that like to make predictions, as people that like to watch these footballing games, because when it came down to it, dude, like,
crazy.
They just get the penalties. They fight. They have each other's backs. They do a lot of things right fundamentally. They don't have these ridiculous stars in their crew, except obviously Luka. They work as a unit, and they know each other's flaws, and they compensate for that. And would I'm sure Croatian fans like to win in regulation? Sure. But frankly, if you want to know the game plan versus Argentina, it's make them fight. And if you got Dominic Livakovic right now in goal in a penalty shootout, although Emiliano Martinez is going to have something to say about that, I like your chances. I like your chances.
Man. 20 saves in 2 games Livakovic has, man. And now we all understand why this Croatian academies go bold, okay? Croatia... Yeah. Livakovic is at Dinamo Zagreb right now.
I know.
And we all know this man is going to a big boy team straight in January, just like Amrabat. I already see rumors about Neuer replacement at Bayern Munich, and that is understandably so for Livakovic. And I love to see that. And the player that we must highlight the most is the icon of Croatia, that is Luka Modric, one of the greatest midfielders to play this game because he's won 5 Champions League. He's won a Ballon d'Or. He's led his country to a World Cup final, okay, in the past, and in 2018. And he's 37. He's 37 and he starts for Real Madrid.
And again, he's led his country of not even 4 million people. Okay, this is unbelievable when you look at demographics, when you look at population, when you look at the longevity of what Luka Modric has done. I almost have to say that from a longevity perspective, Luka Modric is the best midfielder of all time, beyond Iniesta, beyond come on, I'm thinking more recent right now, beyond Xavi. Okay, now pound for pound, from a footballing perspective, at their pinnacle, Xavi and Iniesta obviously were better footballers, per se. But in terms of what he has done, for as long as he has done, Luka gets my vote. He gets my vote.
I understand that, man. And 5 Champions League, once again. I know it's Casemiro, Kroos, Modric getting the 5 Champions League, but the best out of the 3, we all know, it's Luka Modric. And that's why he's got the Ballon d'Or, man. So just seeing that too, Brozovic, Perisic, Lovren, Livakovic, Gvardiol, all players that are willing to die for their country of Croatia, man. And you feel that spirit on the pitch. You feel it and for Brazil, man. Tite did bad decisions, okay? Substitutions. Who does the pens to, man? Everything was done wrong in that game. And there's a reason why Tite didn't even go to the pitch after the game. He went straight to the locker room. This man doesn't deserve to be the coach of Brazil. That's it. Brazil deserves someone to win Wexa. And Tite ain't that man. Tite ain't that man. And this new generation, Vinicius Jr., Martinelli, Rodrigo, Hendry coming up too that we're going to mention. All these players deserve a proper manager. Like Abel Freire, Jorge Jesus, much better names than Tite. Much better names. And they want that. So I got to say that, man. Woo!
I mean, Tite wants to get in on the dancing, but he doesn't want to be there to actually lift his players up at their biggest time of need. What? And I'm going to say it right now. After Neymar scored that beautiful interplayed goal where he rounded Livakovic, what the hell were they all doing?
Fuck.
Why? They literally took the foot off the gas pedal. Okay, I get it. Their best was when you're using offense as your best defense and you still have this amazingly organized defense. That's how you best play. You're Brazil. You're Brazil. True. They sat back. It was as if they had already won the game. That utter crap.
It's true.
Absolutely utter crap. And you know who I blame for that beyond Tite? I do blame Neymar. I blame Casemiro. I blame the 2 center backs. They should have been literally going around firing up every one of those individuals saying, we fight for everything from here on out. This game is not won. And you know where else we saw it? I don't mean to overgeneralize the South American teams here,
Mm-hmm.
but we also saw it when Netherlands put Wout Weghorst on the field against Argentina. Argentina shut down. They stopped playing football. They instead wanted to play shithousery games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Enzo Fernandez got sucked into it. Messi got sucked into it. A bunch of different players got sucked into it. Netherlands made them pay. But Brazil, back to Brazil, that was their downfall. After Neymar scored, they thought, game's over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're obviously professionals. They didn't play necessarily that way, but that little extra fight that you see in Croatia, that little extra fight that you see in Morocco, you know, these young, snippy underdogs, which you can't even call Croatia an underdog anymore because of what they've done.
True.
They made Brazil pay.
True.
Morocco made Portugal pay. And it's amazing. It's amazing that Brazil had gotten that far. They had gotten their goal, that they didn't get it done. But listen, I got to bring up. Yeah, I got to bring up one other thing there because this is, I believe I'm stealing this from Fox, their broadcast here. I did not know this, but Luka Modric and Dominik Livakovic are not only from obviously the same country of Croatia, they're from the same tiny little 60,000, 70,000 person town in Croatia. And I believe it's called Zadar. And it's just amazing that two guys that literally are a country's hero right now, country's heroes, I'm sure there will be statues, they did this for such a small nation. It's just unbelievable what Croatia's doing right now. And they made both of us look silly in terms of what we thought was going to happen. Brazil had the talent to get it done, and they didn't get it done.
It's true. I'm getting these silly with Portugal now. With I did call Brazil, France, and Argentina, but like the rest, like 50%, we did get right.
It's humbling. It's humbling to say the least. But listen, favorites are favorites for a reason. But when it comes down to the World Cup and it comes down to 90 minutes, 120 minutes of a game, heart does play a big role, a massive role. Like these are long ago, you would see a 6-0 World Cup semifinal because there was massive differences in the training, in the whatever nutrition, in the the upbringings of the players and their career paths. And there would be literally professionals against amateurs. Not anymore. Not anymore. When it comes to a World Cup quarterfinal, the playing field is a whole lot more level than people give it credit for.
True. And what I like about the teams that we're mentioning with Portugal, Brazil, England, all these teams that lost in this World Cup, they have young cores, and Spain too. And Germany partially with Musiala, Mukoko, and Wirtz. These are young teams. Rebuilds are starting for these nations too. So that's what makes it all very interesting. And all new managers. All have to have new managers, all the teams I referred to. To start properly the rebuild with the youth.
Although Hansi lives on. Hansi Flick lives on.
Oh, my days, man.
He stays.
Is Timo Werner that important? That's what I gotta say, man. Is Timo Werner that important just to justify that loss, man?
I don't know.
But yes, people, put down below your thoughts about this Croatian team. And just like England, if they need a change, Brazil made the choice to do a change. So put down below your decision for who should be the next manager of Brazil, okay? Because that's everything's open right now with that one. But you mentioned that epic, just like England, France could be a final. Netherlands, Argentina, that was a huge spectacle too. And Messi had to dig deep, and he turned up, okay? Pessi comments, just like Penaldo comments shouldn't exist. Pessi comments shouldn't exist too. I've never said that on tape. That is total cap. The community knows. So big credit to Messi in this game.
Can we all just live in a world where we can equally enjoy what Cristiano Ronaldo has given to the game and what Leo Messi has given to the game? Can we all just live in that world? I'd like to go. I don't care. I'll give it 50-50. I don't care. I don't need to have a winner between a Messi GOAT and a Ronaldo GOAT comment. They both have given so much to this game in different ways. And it pisses me off that people take sides. Sorry. Anyway, Argentina, Netherlands.
Yes. Whoa,
Argentina, Netherlands was another one where my goodness, who knew that Wout Weghorst 6'5", 6'6", big boy, on loan at Besiktas, and on loan from Burnley. So he could have been in Vincent Kompany's, view for a while. And we all know Weghorst, his name very well in England. But man, oh man, what the heck? Argentina almost pissed that away.
Yep.
They almost pissed it away, but they didn't.
It's true. It's true. Like Argentina, I have to say that Argentina, because of Lionel Messi, they're now favorites. Okay, and no, maybe I'll say because of Messi, Argentina are second favorites. Mbappe, because of Mbappe, and France are favorites to win this World Cup. But maintaining the Holland and Argentina, I was kind of surprised. How good of an ending that Louis van Gaal will have as the coach of the Netherlands, because his substitutions were absolutely crucial. And he shows the difference of a good manager instead of a Verdensench. Because Weghorst, am I getting it right? Weghorst, he completely changed the game, okay? He gave total different dynamic. And every Argentino player got rattled by this man, okay? They couldn't stop him with his height. And that was a quality moment shown by Louis van Gaal. So I think Netherlands, again, just like us, one step back, two step forward. Trust youngsters like Frimpong, De Ligt being there. You got a lot of youth. So Cody Gakpo.
It is amazing though that Argentina executed their game plan pretty well. Cody Gakpo was kept silent. I don't think he was shown to have limitations in this game. He couldn't get it done. Memphis Depay kept quiet. Bergwijn kept quiet, And when all was said and done, Louis van Gaal throws a guy that almost feels very anti-football because he's just a big guy that you lump crosses into. In the end, that type of directness got it done. And my goodness, that set piece play, we've all seen it before, but to pull it out in a World Cup quarterfinal,
it's very hard. Fuck. It shows the brilliance of Van Gaal. It just shows the brilliance of Van Gaal. You got to train that mentally, the players, to do that too. So big credit to the Netherlands. Netherlands, they leave this World Cup with their head up high. We don't, Portugal. Spain doesn't. Germany doesn't. Belgium doesn't. Holland did a good job, and they went against one of the best teams in the world. They had 36 wins non-stop, Argentina, before this World Cup. So understandable, man. Understandable.
And there was definitely a game under the game that was going on. There was the game that was being played on the field, and then there were definitely mind games galore all across the board. And I know what everybody has seen that has been circulated across the world has been that Argentina literally just laughing in the face, essentially, of the Dutch players after that final Lautaro Martinez penalty kick went in. But, man, there was so much more bubbling under the surface here. We got Leo Messi throwing out Bobo, calling Wout Weghorst a Bobo in the tunnel. We got Leo Messi going after Louis van Gaal. We've got Van Gaal saying disrespectful comments about Argentina previous to this. My goodness, if you want a game under a game, you got it with the Dutch versus Argentina, and this felt a lot, not that I was around, but if you read about the former days of the Dutch versus Argentina in the 70s and the 80s, this felt a lot like a revival of that in some respects. But nobody can take away Leo Messi had himself a day. Come on. A goal and that no-look pass, essentially, that assist was beautiful. It just shocks me that just now, Leo Messi has finally equalized Gabriel Batistuta's World Cup goal total for Argentina. Finally,
it took long. It shows the level of a player that I was, and they still have Maradona in the locker room, Argentina. What a great country.
Exactly, and what is even more crazy about that Batistuta, little statistic there, is Batistuta had every chance heading in. I believe it was the 2002 World Cup. Everybody, I think it was Marcelo Bielsa, showing my age here, but everybody thought that was going to be Argentina's year. right? They had a team. They had a team, and it was going to be so good. Batistuta's last run for it, and I believe they crashed out in the group stage, right, because of a Beckham goal or something like that. Whatever that was, a 1-0 loss to England. But Batistuta had every chance to add more to his World Cup total and never did. So it's amazing what Gabriel Batistuta did, considering Leo Messi just now, after 5 World Cups, 5? Yeah.
5? Yeah.
Is matching him. So amazing stuff. But
yeah, now we got Argentina, okay, that are gonna go against Croatia. That's gonna be a tough match very tough match to predict, I guess. But Argentina are favorites. Yeah. So I think we can say the prediction on this one because we referred to both teams. What do you think's going to happen? Luka Modric going insanely bold?
I can't do it. I can't do it. Here's the thing. I don't learn from my own mistakes. But when you look at these teams on paper, Argentina has to get this done in regulation. They have to get it done in regulation. So they're going to have to go for it. And I think Croatia already knows their game plan. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a different ending here, but I feel like there will be a different ending. So Croatia, I know we've seen a lot of you guys in our comments. We appreciate you following us and keeping us humble. But I am unfortunately going to have to say, once again, I believe Argentina will go through over Croatia to the final.
I'm going to agree with you. I will lean on Argentina too on this one. And in players like Alvarez, Enzo, Molina plays good football. And Emi Martinez, man. Emi Martinez is the biggest player behind Lionel Messi in this World Cup for Argentina, in my opinion. Yeah. I put Enzo third, maybe. And that just shows like how good of a World Cup Emi Martinez is having. So, we already have a prediction done. Now we need to go on to the next game prediction. But we got to talk about Morocco, Portugal, man. Like, whoa. Yeah. And my first thing that I got to say, man, Morocco, they're the first African team to get to the semifinals of this World Cup. And they, of all teams, had the most difficult route getting there. They played Croatia, Belgium, Canada in the group of death, in my opinion, and then Spain and Portugal. So big credit to this Moroccan team that is doing history and in the most difficult way. So they deserve it, man. They really do.
They absolutely do. This is an example of a team playing better as the sum of all parts than just riding a coattail of one player. In some respects, to win a World Cup, sometimes that's what you need. But what they're not, even if they don't win this World Cup, my goodness, have they basically rearranged history. They've changed it all when it comes down to it, and they have found a way to continue to get the most out of each individual player, and that has been the difference almost every time. It has been that little extra synapse firing that says, I want the ball more than the person I'm up against. That little bit of fatigue that might creep in that they fend off that the other player does not. Because it didn't matter if it was the 119th minute or the 4th minute. The Moroccan team just looked like they always wanted it more, right? And I hate to say that about Portugal, and I do have to give you a lot of credit for coming out and being as heartbroken as you were to give all the credit or a lot of the credit in the world to what Morocco did in terms of executing a game plan. You can disagree with how the game plan was executed. You can disagree with the defensive nature of it. But ultimately, if that's going to win you the game, Morocco played to their strength, which was being a unit and ultimately being so defensively organized that it was tough to break down. That's simple.
It's true. And Amrabat deserves credit. Roman Saïd deserves credit. Onahi for sure is going to leave wherever he is. Boufal. El Nesri, Nakim Ziyech, I don't know if I referred. And I got to say, like Morocco until now, no opposition has scored a goal against this Moroccan defense, okay? They only have an own goal against Canada. And the reason why this is happening, it's Bono. This is the Bono effect. And that's why he's the best goalkeeper in this World Cup. Livakovic can be mentioned, but Bono is the reason why this team can't stop having clean sheets. The most difficult route to the semi-final, man. What, meu?
And I mean, there's a common theme here, right? Look at all the semifinalists.
Yeah.
And then look at their goalkeepers. Every one of their goalkeepers has gone bold for the most part. Okay, the last on the list is probably the best from a club perspective, Hugo Lloris. But every one of these other goalkeepers have literally earned themselves massive moves if they want them at the end of the season. The only other name I would throw out there from a goalkeeper perspective is probably Szczesny, right, from Poland, which obviously they ran into Argentina. But when it comes down to it, common theme here has been steady goalkeeper, a goalkeeper that when he was called upon, he stood on his head. He did what he needed to do to keep that kind of defensive chemistry together, to keep everything together. Because you got to remember, and I hate to kind of kick Portugal while they're down, but from a personnel perspective, I said this, and I'm rightfully getting burned for it. I'm rightfully getting burned for it in the comment section. But Naif Aguerd, literally, he did play essentially on one leg and eventually had to go out, right? Not only that, Roman Saiz eventually had to go out as well. And they were looking at their backup center backs. El Yamik, I forget who came on, but whoever came on just kind of stuck together. And not only that, Nusser Mazraoui was also out with an injury. So there's a backup left back as well. And these guys, this credit, when all is said and done, not only goes to Bono to keeping them all together, not only goes back to the center back partnership and these guys playing together, but on top of that, it has to go back to who? Walid Regragui. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but it has to go back to the coach. And the coach, I believe he was a defender previously for Morocco. Maybe that has something to do with it, but my goodness, the pride that these guys have to play for their country, the fight for every freaking ball, that in and of itself was the most impressive thing that I've seen beyond individual players playing so well beyond what you would have expected them to.
Who will sign Amrabat? Who will sign Amrabat for you, Breton? Who should sign Amrabat? If I can make it different.
My
United?
Goodness. Here's the thing.
Chelsea?
It needs to be somebody that has the same coaching style as his national team national team coach. I think he plays insanely well in this Moroccan system in what they're set out to do. So who's a defense first type of coach?
Graham Potter.
Ooh, okay. Chelsea. There you go.
Well, but I wherever he goes, I could see Juve getting him just because Serie A, and he leaves Fiorentina to then go Juve. But I didn't have the chance to say this in the Portugal video, and if you can, go check it out. My thoughts after the Moroccan game here on YouTube. I want to say thank you, though. Like, I want to say thank you to Pep, that, in my opinion, no doubt in my mind, is the best Portuguese center back ever in our history. And I want to give a thank you to Cristiano Ronaldo, too. Like, the best forward ever in Portugal history. And he's changed our country. Okay, Figo, when he was the Ballon d'Or winner, like, we were still seen as a small country. And I think Cristiano leaves. I think he's decided to leave after the Euros but like, I think Cristiano can leave with his head up high, the Portuguese national team, and the impact he's had, winning a Euro, going to a final of a Euro, being considered one of the top nations in the world. It's all I gotta say is thank you, really, really, Pep and Cristiano Ronaldo, man. Like, those two are definitely they touch my heart. They touch my heart, man. So I just wanted to let that. I think that's 100% valid, Alex. I think what it comes down to is whether you're a Messi fan, Ronaldo fan, whether you're Portuguese, whether you're Argentinian or from America like me, I know that thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Portuguese footballers grew up with Pep on the wall, grew up with Cristiano Ronaldo on the wall, but it doesn't stop there. Both of those guys have inspired,
others that will never go on to play for Portugal.
And
so,
and
unreal.
with Pep, this is the thing. I say thank you to Pep because I realize in 2-3 years' time, Pep is a leader. Pep, like at 39, immense. But we haven't Daniel Silva coming up. We have Ruben Dias there. We have players that will be leading the world in the next 4 to 8 years. And that's why we cannot have a coach like Fernando Santos, okay, the head manager of Portugal. In that game, Vitinha should have started. The build-up play. Gonçalo Ramos didn't even touch the ball in the first half. Big credit to Morocco. But Vitinha would have broken the lines. And João Cancelo. Rafael Guerreiro won't even stay at Dortmund. They won't extend his contract. Everybody played well against Switzerland. But we needed Cancelo against Morocco. Against Hakimi. Against the big boys of this world. So that's where it's criminal to have Fernando Santos ahead. And we all know the leader of the locker room was always Christian. Fernando Santos is not the main man. We need someone after Christian to be the main man, to go with this youth. João Félix, Rafael, Daniel Silva, Vitinha, Fábio Vieira, Fábio Carvalho. We need you, José Mourinho. We need you. Yeah. This is the man. Nobody will go against Mourinho in the locker room, and everybody will listen. And I see people hating and saying, look what he's doing at Roma. Imagine what he'd do with the players we have at Portugal. It would be his best team ever. Best team ever. Okay, maybe Real Madrid. That was a top team too. But Portugal would definitely be a much better team than a lot of that he's had in the past. So I just want to say that too. Jeez, man.
I'm gonna say I want to see Abel Ferreira.
I'd like Abel too. I think Abel would guide the youth like he did with Hendrik, but José Mourinho wants it. I think if José Mourinho wants it, it's a vacant spot, he gets it. And at 59, that would be a great last dance for José Mourinho. The best manager I've seen, in my opinion, because look what he did at Inter. That was a remontada. He wasn't picked to be Barca coach, so he gets revenge at Real Madrid. So, one of the biggest villains of the history of football too, Mourinho. Just like Cristiano Ronaldo. So, both Portuguese. Yeah. So, I think, and they would clash them too. And Mourinho would say to Ronaldo, you're a sub now. And I think Ronaldo would respect Mourinho's authority. With Fernando Santos, there's zero authority. I can tell you that. I know some things behind the scenes, and Fernando Santos has zero grip of that locker room. So it's time for change. And Otavio can't start above Vitinha in the future. Just can't.
I was a little I know you said he played well against Switzerland, but I'll say it right now. I mean, the fact that there was such that run on Switzerland, that 6 goals, that ended up being that double-edged sword, right? It was kind of like, it was a great thing in the moment, but when all is said and done, whether you win 2-1 or you win 6-1, right? They both get you to the same place. And in the end, really all it did was maybe kind of, even if it was subliminally, because I'm pretty certain that obviously every one of those Portuguese players wanted to get to the semifinals. I think subliminally there's just that foot that was off the gas pedal. There was that urgency that just kind of never really got there. And then once Morocco got that goal, it was all trying to break down this vice-like tight defense that was so packed in, that was just tough. And obviously that's what got Moroccan success pretty much the whole tournament, and they knew exactly what to do once they got that goal. I'm with you. I don't know. I like a Mourinho team for me, from an outsider perspective, leading Portugal. It just doesn't. It feels like a team. It almost feels like a team I want to root against, because Mourinho, I just feel like, is from a trajectory perspective.
He's a villain.
He's a villain. Exactly. I'd rather see a guy that fosters and is more of a man manager now, and is a guy that gets the most out of his players. I feel like an Abel Ferreira could be that. I understand why we want to go down the Mourinho route. But listen, it's quick. You got 2 years to the Euros, and then 3.5 years until this World Cup's back in sight. You want to give them a full cycle? Now's the time to do it. But First things first, announce that Fernando Santos exit and get moving and get these players. But what you're telling me is Cristiano Ronaldo is not retiring from international play. Is that what you're telling me?
I think that decision is still to be made, but I think he's gonna stay until the Euros, like you said before.
Okay.
I think he, and World Cup is a stretch, man. I hope if he goes to the MLS, he has like a huge like mentality change, and then he becomes a super sub. Because if Cristiano Ronaldo is in the next World Cup, he'll be 41, and he has to be at a super sub role. We would only win a World Cup if a 41-year-old had that super sub role. If he's capable of doing that, okay? We need to accept that time hits everyone too. So, but it's just sad, man. But talking about the future, so Morocco, France, okay? Both French-speaking countries. Who's going to go through?
Yeah. Well, here we go again, right? I think this time the favorite goes through. Obviously, we've been wrong. We've been absolutely wrong about Morocco so far. But I do think France will get it done. I honestly don't want to say any more than that because I'm going to just get killed in the comments when Morocco makes it to the final. No, just kidding. I do think I think Kylian Mbappe as an X factor. I think Antoine Griezmann, he's completely fine pulling the strings without getting, all the plaudits. With Olivier Giroud scoring the goals he needs to score, they need to kind of put that defensive unit back together and make sure that they don't, karate kick somebody into a penalty kick type of situation. But I am going to say France has it done. They've got muscle memory in this situation. They know what to do. France beats Morocco, goes to the final, sets up a France-Argentina final.
And
what do you think?
Morocco gets third place. I like that happening. But
Morocco.
But I'm gonna go bold and say, man, if they beat us, if they beat Spain, why not beat France too, man? So I'll go with Morocco on this one and see that they're gonna lose now.
Wow.
And see that they're gonna lose now. And then people are gonna be saying, when you pick, they lose.
And listen, when they've got the formula right, as you just mentioned, when they've got the formula right, you don't need to change it. So would it surprise me if Morocco outlasts France, gets the goal, does the same thing?
They're playing at home,
now.
Man. It's insane, man. I was watching that Morocco-Portugal, and the amount of sound that the Morocco fans, the whole continent of Africa wants Morocco to succeed, and it's a beautiful story in that sense.
It's football. It's football. This is what you want to see. Like in the future, it's not going to be one continent or two continents dominating football. I want to see a world where footballing is elevated. So much on all the different continents that we get the developmental pipelines that everybody just wants to play football all the time, so that I can just watch football all the time. Exactly.
Yeah,
I want to see the next time.
Two Asian teams, they went through, and Australia went through in Oceania. So this World Cup, in terms of bold moments, in terms of surprises, in terms of underdog stories, it can't stop going bold. So I just have to mention that on my end.
Last thing I'll say about Morocco, one thing, I don't know if it's just kind of a media thing. I'm sure there are other teams that are at this World Cup that brought their moms, that brought their dads, that, they didn't get a camera on them when they were going to them in the stands. But for some reason, the media has shown, Achraf Hakimi after every game going to his mom, finding his mom and giving her the biggest hug in the world. Seeing, Sofiane Boufal, seeing Amrabat, seeing Amrabat's brother. Amrabat's brother, like talking about his younger brother with tears in his eyes, right? Like there is something. And Walid Regragui, the coach, finding his mom and making sure that his mom was there. There is just something incredibly wholesome about that. It hits whether you are from America, from Morocco. It just tugs at a heartstring, right? So I do love that this. You can tell that this is just a unified unit that when you come together as a team, you have decent footballing levels, but you have spirit more than anything else. It can take you pretty damn far. And it has for Morocco. And I think every other team could probably use a little more of that.
That's true, people. So tell us your predictions of the semi-final of this World Cup down below. who will go through between Argentina and Croatia and France, Morocco. Any of the outcomes will be historic to watch. So tell us down below your thoughts on this one.
Whew.
So,
Well,
last mentions, Breton.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't mean to end things on a bad note or on a sad note, but I do want to make sure that we mention the name Grant Wahl. Listen, if you know the trajectory and you've watched the trajectory and growth of soccer, of football in the United States or even in North America as a whole, you probably know that Grant Wahl was just a massive portion of that. And I know he's influenced me, even if it has been indirectly. But to see the amount of people that have come out and said just so many amazing things about how he was a connector, about how all he wanted to do was talk and argue football all the time and talk about how it would best grow. He's one of the only American journalists I know that have ever literally sat down with all of the world footballing superstars. He's a guy that has set a precedent from a journalism perspective here in the States, and to see that he was taken away from us at 48 years old, with so many more stories to tell, it brings, it makes me pretty sad and emotional. So just give your loved ones another hug. Because sometimes, hey, we wake up every morning wanting to talk about football, but you never know when your night is your last night, when your day is your last day. So you got to make it count. And that's why we love doing this and connecting with as many people as we can through this. And I hope to do it until I'm old, gray, and out the door. But man,
you will, man. Oh,
been a crazy World Cup. So rest in peace, Grant. And we'll try and pick up even the tiny little bit of stories that you weren't able to tell. If Alex and I can tell some for you, we'll do so.
We'll definitely do so, man. And rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. And what a great story of football, U.S. men's national team football. Like a hero in journalism, definitely in the States, man. So people, don't forget to like episode 84 if you are here until now. And please put down below your semi-final predictions. We want to know. And final predictions if you're listening and you already know who's through. Thank you for listening to episode 84. And thank you for going bold, community.